I am a VP of AI at Eightfold AI, which is one of the pioneers of AI-powered HR software, particularly around talent acquisition and talent management. In the past, I worked at Google, Facebook, and Databricks, and I joined Eightfold only a couple months back. I've been working on AI for a very long time. We used to call it machine learning in the past, but especially with large language models, the emergence of large language models in the last 2, 3 years in mainstream software and products and services, it has brought a ton of attention to the products and brought them to the limelight, and a new era has begun in some sense. So I've graduated from traditional machine learning to generative AI and everything in between. The knowledge engine part is not as exciting as the ability to reason over a large chunk of content. So, but what's particularly interesting to me and something that I expect to happen going forward is large action robots and other kinds of physical devices learning to take physical action based on the same principles that drive large language models. And those actions have emergent properties in the sense that those actions ladder up to doing something meaningful. So in the future, physical objects like devices like robots will be able to like take a bunch of action, and that leads up to something that is useful for humanity, for human society, right? I believe even like self-driving cars are going to do planning around these concepts that uh, chat gpt was built on top of. So but once those things are under control, I think we'll be seeing some amazing uh, innovation. In my world of HR in tech, fairness is one of the big things that we are focusing on. How do we make sure that in hiring decisions and in the process of getting uh, people to like the various steps of recruiting, how do we remove biases now that a lot of these steps can be automated? We have much greater ability to be fair than when we have humans in the loop. The AI that we built across physical and digital world should be aligned with the goals of making human lives better. There has to be some level of governance around like what AI can or cannot do, and that should be decided by elected officials or the right authorities that have the right knowledge to decide what those should be. But I also don't think private companies and private entities should be uh, fully in charge of these things. There has to be some government intervention because otherwise, like, there is a risk that uh, these will end up optimizing for those specific private entities. So I do think that this has to be a joint effort between private and public entities. One AI concept that I wish business leaders um, understood was that it's easy to get AI to build great demos, but AI is going to continue to deal with massive last mile problems. So you'll get very snazzy demos quickly, but a lot of the work will be to improve the quality of that product until it gets to 100%. So that last mile is how you can get to 80% of the impact very quickly, but then you have to invest and you have to be patiently uh, invested in making the product better over a long period of time following the initial launch or initial demos. If you have users who are starting to seriously use the product, encounter something that they can't fix with your product, then they just give up on the product and don't look back. So you've lost that user permanently because you released a premature product. because you did not invest the time to work on the last mile. Again, business leaders need to figure out where in that spectrum between 80 and 100 their product or service has to land before it is put in the hands of its customers. Get a team to improve your product and service to get to that, and that's what we call the AI quality. So I think like many organizations have accumulated over a long period of time a bunch of artifacts that are out there that have so much information that it's just a gold mine, but you just don't know what's where, who's written what, when was it written, what is the provenance of that, of those documents. So being able to like organize all that information and make them easily accessible is a game changer when done right. So I think with products like GoSearch, I think it solves the fundamental problem of access to corporate information, um, especially when it pertains to documents and artifacts written by folks that have left the company, let's say. So being able to surface all that information and make them accessible to current employees is a very powerful thing. Like I myself have, during my last days of my past companies, I've written a bunch of documents um, that contain a wealth of information about everything that I wanted to share with those companies, because the way I felt was if I don't share this information now, they're lost forever because I've left the company. I would be a filmmaker, a very poor filmmaker, because most filmmakers hardly make any money. So I would be struggling to make ends meet, but still try to make films and figure out. And then when Gen AI, which happened now, I would be embracing AI as a consumer, not as a producer of the technology, to make life easier for me as a struggling filmmaker. So, like, again, to summarize, if I were not an AI leader, I would be a struggling filmmaker and a consumer of AI technology to reduce my struggle a little bit.